What is the name of the fused character formed by Goku and Vegeta in the main Buu saga? The Majin Buu saga.
Cell?
Everyone is pretty much a fan of, well, anything. Whether it be the guy that constantly consumes video essays and acts like a feral raccoon on Twitter because you liked something, or that weird kid that watches Has Been Hotel, everyone is a fan of at least something when it comes down to fictional media. And when it comes down to being a fan, there's like 3 levels to it. You have the normal people that, well, you know, they just enjoy what they enjoy, and they're pretty normal about it. They don't really seem to care. They would like other people to, you know, be a fan of it too, but they're not going to try and pressure you into it. Then you have the crazies, which are, you know, the kinds of people that would treat it like a religion, or get mad when you criticize it, or, well, just the weird people in the fandom. And then the third is the quote-unquote fan, and, well, obviously the subject of today's video, the larper.
You're weak, you're out of control, and you become an embarrassment to yourself and everybody else.
And no, I don't mean people who, you know, live action role play at Renaissance fairs. Those people are fine. I'm talking about the people who pretend to know about something or be a fan of something despite never having engaged with it whatsoever, all for the sake of fitting in on social media or with their friend group. Plus, it just annoys me to no end. And if I see another RE LARPer or DMC LARPer, I'm gonna fucking literally turn into the Incredible Hulk. So fuck it, actually engage with this video and, well, whatever you like, and let's look at the 2 main issues with LARPers.
Okay, if I could just talk to Gus, I know I can make him understand. Please,
If I could talk to Gus, I can convince him, okay? Just let me, please let me talk to him.
Shut up!
If you're careful enough and, you know, you don't click on random fucking pop-ups or anything sketchy, then you can pretty much engage with a lot of mediums for free. You know, you would think that with this kind of stuff available, that these people wouldn't be LARPing and actually, you know, try to engage with the thing at hand. You know, they would actually try to be a fan of something. But, no, they don't. They really don't try to engage with it at all, and they make it overly more complicated than it has to be. If they used their fucking brains, all they would have to say is, you know, something along the lines of, I've never actually watched/played this thing, but I would like to someday. And that's literally it. That's all they would have to say, or better yet, they would just pretty much engage with it through those mediums. But no, they really need to make it overly complicated for no rhyme or reason, even though it's pretty simple. You could buy a lot of Devil May Cry, or better yet, you could buy a lot of Resident Evil games on modern consoles, because they go on sale quite frequently on them. I see Resident Evil 5 and 6, and fuck it, even the original version of 4 on sale quite frequently on the PlayStation Store. And if you don't feel like spending money to play the games, then, well, you could literally emulate them on your phone. And if you don't like how the layout is on your phone when playing these games, then you could just buy a wireless Bluetooth controller. There are so many ways to actually access and get engaged with a medium like video games or movies or anything, but these people just simply refuse to do so because there's no limit to the LARP. Again, all they have to say is, I've never engaged with this thing, I've never played it or watched it, but I would like to someday. Just use your words like a human being. But they do use their words in the most random and dumbest ways possible whatsoever, by throwing out random hypothetical scenarios in the hopes that people would understand and totally be allowed with them doing this. Like, you could give them, like, every single access to these things at hand, and they'll be like, hypothetically, what if my arms and legs just kapoosh one day? What if they, like, vanish by a magician zombie? It's like, dude, you don't need to come up with all these random hypotheticals. If you don't have the time to play them, which, I mean, look, you have enough time to pretty much argue with people on Twitter about, you know, being a LARPer and defending that stance, then I'm pretty sure you have enough time to, you know, emulate or even buy, like, a $6 game, dude. That's not gonna put a dent. Like, unless you live in, like, a mud hut, or, you know, you're just, like, fucking, I don't know, stuck in purgatory, I don't really think it's gonna be that hard. And look, if you watched a YouTube video on the game and then you decided to play the game, then, well, fair enough, right? Because you're actually deciding to look at something you think that's interesting enough to where you would actually want to engage with it. That makes sense. But these people will never do that. They will constantly try to defend this stance and will constantly go after people who literally just tell them, play the game. It is not that hard to actually get engaged with it. Like I said, there's multiple resources at your disposal, but these people make it overly complicated for no reason. One thing I hate about modern culture is the fact that everyone acts like they could know everything through at least a summarized version of it. shit, which, no. Not everything you could just become an expert on because you read a summary about it online or you watched a YouTube video on it online. No, you actually have to go through these things and or experience them to actually know what they are. Much like in the realms of movies, games, or video games, you can't just know what something is through at least a summarized version of it and then be like, yeah, bro, I know everything about it. No, you can't. Like, if I've never seen a movie like, I don't know, Casino, why am I going to act like I've seen it because I watched a plot recap or, you know, I read a summary of it online? Overall, literally just be honest. Use your words and actually try to engage with the medium instead of just lying. It would be a lot easier if you had just told the truth. Well, that and also didn't try to dictate what are and what aren't fans, and also tried to have beef with the creators of things.
Somebody tell me! Do you hear me? Somebody tell me how he did it! I have to know! I have to know!
Like I said in the previous section of the video, you cannot know everything about, well, pretty much a lot of things if you just read a summary of it. For example, Final Fantasy VII. Let's say I don't know anything about this game, right? Fuck it. Let's just say I'm a newcomer. I don't know anything about this game, but I read a summary of it online. Why am I going to act like I played it? That doesn't make any sense. Let alone dictate things in a fandom where the thing at hand that is the subject of the fandom is something I've never engaged in. Like, what the fuck? It's like being in charge of a book club, but you don't even know anything about a fucking book. They will try to be like, oh, you're not a true fan of this, or you're not a true fan of that, and like all that kind of stuff, you know, the typical Twitter shit, all while never having engaged with the medium at hand. Or they'll pretty much try to act like this thing is true because they saw it in a YouTube short, meanwhile the creator or co-creator fucking denied it. And while this isn't YouTube shorts or anything catastrophic, it does show how fucking overly confident and stupid these people really are. Like, the Dunning-Kruger effect is fucking real. Now, for those of you who don't know, the co-creator of Invincible, Ryan Ottley, the guy who was pretty much responsible for creating a shit ton of characters within the series, basically, he did a height chart on one of his social medias, and, well, Conquest was taller than Thrag, and you had some people in the comments trying to argue with him. Yes, him, the fucking co-creator of Invincible, the guy who's basically responsible for creating a shit ton of characters in the story. They tried to argue with him that Thrag was 6'10", even though he specifically stated that Thrag was 6'6". And other people tried to argue with this in the comment section, and every time he literally had to tell them that no, Thrag is 6'6". And I would get it, right? Like, I would get it if it was a J.K. Rowling situation where she specifically said something that contradicted what is even in the story itself, then that's fine, that makes sense. But it doesn't contradict anything with Thrag's fucking height. There's a reason why the saying, don't believe everything you see on the internet, is a saying that people still fucking use. Another situation is with Fallout Season 2, where one of the people that worked on New Vegas, yes, the game, Fallout New Vegas, the game that so many Fallout fans love, one of the people that worked on the game was called a tourist. Keep in mind, this person helped make the game that they are LARPing as a fan of.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Like, again, like, bro, how are you going to argue with people who helped create the thing that you're a quote-unquote fan of? I don't get it. You cannot dictate what should and shouldn't be allowed in a particular kind of group and or fandom when the group is based off of something you don't even know. Like, for example, if I don't know anything about anime, why the fuck would I dictate what goes on inside of anime's fan base when I don't know jack shit about it? Again, none of this would have happened if they had just pretty much used their words and had actually been honest instead of trying to be power freaks over a particular thing they don't even know. It's especially bad when you try to beef with the fucking creators or, you know, people that have worked on the actual thing that you like, quote unquote.
That's why this company's in the damn shape it's in, because of bullshit like this.
If your introduction to something was through a YouTuber or a YouTube video and then you decided to experience the actual thing for yourself, then, well, that's fine because you were actually experiencing it. The issues rise when you pretend to try and, like, know something even though you don't, just to fit in, and then when people kind of see through the facade, you try to come up with all these kinds of excuses and trying to dictate what is and isn't true, or what makes up a fan. You can't just know everything through a summary online or through a TikTok. If that that was the case, then everyone would suddenly be a doctor because they watched a fucking TikTok. It's annoying as hell because not only do these people try to rationalize the fakeness of it all, but they will also try to make changes in the fandom, aka dictating the fandom basically. If you don't know anything about the fandom, why the hell are you in the fandom? Or better yet, why are you trying to make changes or dictate what's going on? What are you just that lonely? Are you just that sad? Like, for example, if I don't know anything about a particular anime, why the hell am I going to be in that anime's fan base even though I don't know anything about it? You know what happens when like 95% of the fan base is tourists or larpers? You get things like My Hero, you get things like Dragon Ball's fandom, you get things like fucking Devil May Cry and Resident Evil's fandom right now. Like, ugh. You have people saying and doing the dumbest shit all for a series they don't even actually know or even engage with. And when most of the fan base is larpers and tourists, we get things like Netflix Devil May Cry, where the guy is like, see, I'm totally a fan of this thing, and he just makes pure and utter dog shit. And also, I just refuse to make a video on that show. Don't expect me to make a fucking video talking about Netflix Devil May Cry. It's
Fucking tragic.
overall, if you want to be engaged or, actually engage with a certain medium, then just go for it. If you want to play the Resident Evil games, emulate them or get them when they're on sale. If you want to get engaged with something like Invincible, then go ahead and fucking read it. There's already a free site for you to probably pretty much read all of Invincible. Or if you want to spend money on the fucking compendiums, then just go ahead. If you want to play something like Resident Evil, I'm repeating this point again, but again, if you want to play something like Resident Evil or Devil May Cry, just get the games when they're on sale or emulate. Emulation is pretty easy. And if you want to engage with something like The Sopranos or Breaking Bad or The Walking Dead or Dexter, then just go ahead and watch those things. Don't try to watch a YouTube short or summary of them, then try to act like you're a fan. Then get mad when people say, you haven't actually watched this thing because, watching a YouTube short doesn't equal watching the whole damn thing or playing the whole damn thing.